Hashem Rakakbrash, say Barakat the Yahweh, Barakat the Oshai, Barakat the Yahweh, understanding through the spirit and power of Yahbashim Shai. 2024, which is the hopeful year of Jacob's trouble. Yahbashim Shai is doing great, marvelous works. Slacky, I'm coming back. On the way in traffic, before I got to go to this damn plantation. But I wanted to do a sit down quickly on this topic. Long I've heard a lot of things. You know, you hear things in this truth where guys. That's why you know that we're the people that deserve slavery because look what Jake does now. Hey, shalom to those coming on the comment board. Yabashim Yashar Brakatah. Look what Jake does when the Lord gave us back his name. We on probation. Israel, okay? Jake, Jacob, we are on a probationary period, okay? Just like in Esau's world, if you on probation, you ain't supposed to do certain shit. You ain't supposed to get out of pocket. You're supposed to be confound. That's why it says come through the straight gate. Straight gate is another version of saying probation. Straight, because what is probation? Is a straight gate. You can't go certain places. You can't hang around with certain people. You can't do certain things, man. So you got guys that are coming in this like it's loosey goosey, man. Understand this. We go off, not saying the perfection, like the apostles, elders always tell us, you know, strive for perfection because Yahweh Shai was perfect. So we have to strive for that. What is the great saying? Shoot for the moon. If you miss, you're still among the stars. Okay. That's that saying. That's what the Lord is saying because it's like weights. If you go to the gym and you lift weights, it's a resistance. That's what these bodies are. These bodies are our gym. Our calisthenics. That's what we're doing in these bodies. The Lord knows we can't be perfect. But we came from perfection because we're all spirits and bodies. That's what we are. You know, your first estate is a spiritual perfected estate. That's why what did Yahweh Shah say? He said, "What do you stone me for?" It says in your law, it says you were gods. How are we gods? Because we go back to the spirit, the Elohim, the powers that dwell in us. Okay, we're moved by spirit. That's why the Lord said, "Fear not man that can kill body, but fear the Most High that can kill body and spirit." Okay, so I say this to go back to the point: we're on probation. We ain't here to try to do our own thing. We're not here to try to make ourselves somebody. You know, to say Paul's writings. And this goes back to what Alizé said. I was watching Apostle said that Paul's writings are not authoritative, if I'm not mistaken. That right there shows you a lack of respect. And I'm gonna say it, that's a lack of respect, man. Because Acts 9 and 15 tells you that Paul, the Lord said, go to Saul, Paul, he is a chosen vessel. So this is the Most High saying this. This is the Lord telling and and writing it in scripture to say Paul was a chosen vessel. The Most High could have judged Paul terribly. He was killing the saints. He was persecuting the church. And I just went into it last night. I went to a whole document. The Spirit had me going to a whole documentary on Paul, man. Paul was heavy in the Spirit because Paul was there. Because when Paul was there with Stephen, when Stephen got stoned, it was spiritual. Why do you think they wrote that they set their garments in front of a man, a young man by the name of Saul? That's spiritual because what do garments go back to? With the story of uh, uh, Jeroboam and Rehoboam. Okay, when Rehoboam was set and gave in the garments and ripped it, I think the prophet Ahijah, if I'm not mistaken, you brothers can post that if you want. But garments also can represent the tribes of Israel. A garment. That's why he ripped it in ten parts and gave him the 10. And then He said that the nation was going to be split. So it's not a coincidence that the Lord was doing is precise. So to say Paul's word is not authoritative, that's a heavy saying, man. You know, because when I read Acts 9:15, he's a chosen vessel. How does he go to a chosen vessel and did all these works? Great men. That's why it says we have entered into other man's labors. This is not our thing, man. We have entered into a project. This is a construction project. That's why we tell Jake to mind what they're doing. Because if you've ever worked construction, I've worked construction my whole life. I've done roofing, I've done tile setting, I've done different factory jobs. I've done when it takes a lot of people to do one job. Okay, you have to tend to what you're doing, especially if you come in after somebody. That's why you leave a lot of information. You say where you left off at. You say the measurements you were on because you got to pick up that cut. You might have to cut a piece of wood. You might have to cut a piece of tile and set it, but you got to know where that person was at prior. That's the same thing we're doing with this work. You got to know. That's why the Lord left us the scriptures, so we can know how to conduct ourselves as we pick up this work. Because we're not just doing our own thing. We're doing a work that was already. This is a 2,000 plus year old job that we're doing right now. That took many lifetimes to complete. Think about that. This kingdom of heaven we're building under the guiding ship of the main boss, which is Yahweh Shai. Yahweh Shai is like he's the foreman on the job. That's why he's not down here no more. He's at the helm of this thing. All right, finishing off, just like when Solomon built the temple, he went and got the best of the best. Hiram Abiff. Okay, Hiram Abiff was a architect in the building of the temple. So and he wasn't a Jake. But back to the point is that when you go to Paul's writings, if you read Hebrews, especially Hebrews 11 goes into faith. And the documentary I watched last night, Paul was heavy. Why? Because he was a Roman citizen. It's called Romana Prox. Damn, I know it's Romana something. Rome. It's Rome citizenship. Pretty much, he was able to go to the places that other Israelites were not able to go. That was the Most High making chess moves. Okay, so Paul was able to go, and he went to Tarshish, and he went there for a period of time, and then he started his ministry. I think he was there for about 13, 14 years, and then he started up his ministry. Okay, so with Barnabas. So the time we had now, the Lord had set up Paul to do that certain mission and to go to the Gentiles and to set up them churches in Corinth, Asia Minor. Okay, all these churches that was being set up and being groomed by Paul, and it's heavy because they said in the documentary that Paul was a lot of times in home ministries, just like you see now. What are we at now? You're in a small sanctuary. All of us that listen from our own location, our houses are like a home ministry. Okay, we don't have a church. We have a home ministry. You get on the YouTube and you watch the sit downs and you watch the epistles. Okay, but Paul was a man that was set up heavy in the spirit to be able to go to the Gentiles the way he was. He had Roman citizenship. That's why he used it in the time when he was being persecuted and being judged. He appealed to Caesar. Okay, so to say that's why it says knowledge puffed it up. And we don't like to get on these guys. They push the truth, they push the doctrine. But to say such a thing, because that's going to promote Jake to try to have that big minded, because you might have a sense of why you don't want to use that and call it authoritative by your own research. I'll give you that. But you're sowing a seed among Jake's mind that you're taking heavy books out of Jake's mind to think, oh yeah, I don't consider that. Like you don't consider it. Who the fuck are you? Why should we consider what you say? Look at the Apocrypha. You know, look at the Apocrypha. The Apocrypha is it's not canon. It's not canonized. So should we throw out the Apocrypha too? That's the mentality you got to have. You can't just say certain things, man, because in Revelation said that he that addeth or taketh away from this, the Most High is going to add unto him the plagues written thereof, man. Okay, because it's not saying, oh, we're taking it out, but it's adding less. What does it say? Pizzazz to it, because all the scriptures are a recipe. All the scriptures, the books, the men that was written, they're recipes and ingredients. If you don't have a certain ingredient in a recipe, the meal is not complete. That recipe isn't complete, man. And Paul was a heavy portion in the Bible, man. As I was going through that documentary last night, they were hitting a lot of good points, man. They were making a lot of good points. How Paul was chased in the spirit. This is when he got kicked off the horse in Damascus. Once he got his vision back, guess what? He went hard, man. Paul was endowed with the spirit off the rip. But guess what? He said he was raised because his father was had that Roman citizenship. Ergo, he got that Roman citizenship. But when Paul set up, because he was getting ready, he said he was a young man that was appointed to the office of the Sanhedrin. So if he was appointed to the office of the Sanhedrin, they said he was very zealous. But that was all set up just like us. We all went into the scriptures. We all dived into the Bible. We had that's why it says you have zeal, but not according to knowledge. So we didn't have the knowledge that we have now. So the same thing with Paul. Paul had a zeal, but it wasn't according to knowledge. He had to get Yahweh Shai. Once he got Yahweh Shai, the Lord put a battery pack in the toy that he was building up, man. Okay, that's the mentality to have, man. Paul was a very heavy vessel, so that's why Jake is tripping, man. Jake is tripping. The times we had now, man, you adding and taking away and doing what you want to do because you feel a type of way. This is you come to this truth. Humbleness is the key. The more humble you are, that's why it says the greater thou art, the more you become a servant, man. We serve because what did Yahweh Shai do before he left? He washed the feet of his disciples, man. Damn, this dude walking, man. You know, but this lesson is just to go just quickly. This to mention that, you know, after watching that documentary, Lord willing, I'll try to post it when I get back to or a stable location. You know, but to say that is to try to add a little bit of discouragement in these scriptures, man. Especially you got the book of Hebrews. The good book of Hebrews go into faith, man, and that's what we need right now. We need that the most. We don't need to have lack of faith. We need to have that increase of faith, and that shows different men. Hebrews 11 showed different men that did certain things to show their faith and how much faith that they did have, man. Okay, so the time we had now, man. Hey, Jay got to stop tripping, man, because we're getting ready. These lights, the tires getting ready to touch the road. All of our work and all of the things that you've done, your knowledge, wisdom, and understanding that you've collected, you getting ready to go on your journey. Ain't gonna be no, oh, we in big camps. When Esau starts shutting these cities down, the civil war starts cracking off, in the lengths that it's gonna crack off, ain't gonna be no YouTube, ain't gonna be no doing this and doing that. There might be internet, but guess what? They're gonna be cutting. It's gonna be called dissidents, because a lot of those Bible belters and a lot of those so-called anti-establishment, they got YouTube pages. And you saw what happened during that protest or that riot at the Capitol. They started cutting pages. They started demonizing and criminalizing people. So it's already been set. That Civil War atmosphere was set during that time of the so-called what is that damn thing called, the White House riot, man. So the White House riot set a tone of a so-called civil war, man. And then the situation over there in the Middle East is cracking off in the Strait of Hormuz. Iran is preparing. Iran is preparing for an onslaught because they launched missiles and killed 2 to 3 U.S. soldiers in a army base, man. So they're going to be retaliation for that. They move super tankers. The super tankers are the planes that fuel up the jets in the air. That means that they can go longer distances because they have those. It's like a flying gas station. So this situation, once that crack, that's gonna jump oil through the roof. So we at the door of this thing, man. Jake don't understand how close we are. There ain't gonna be no, like I said before, you're not gonna see us and our blessings, man. The Lord is gonna take care of us in a way that, guess what? We're not gonna be going live and showing you what the Lord is doing for us. We ain't gonna be able to go live. So you're gonna have to get this, and you're gonna have to get your personal relationship with the Heavenly Father before this thing starts, man. I got delivered yesterday from something, man. It could have been a terrible situation. And guess what? I missed it by a hair, man. Like, by what does it say? I was scarcely saved from it. And I was going along my day, just another day. But guess what? The Most High preserved me from an incident that could have been not tragic, but it could have been messed up because I would have had to deal with it for a little bit, man. And the spirit was like, hey, look, I was down about certain things, but the spirit was like, look, it could be worse, but I got you. And that's why I take comfort in, man. The Lord is always watching and he's always taking care of us, man. But the time we at now, hey, if Jake want to take away from the scriptures, that's on them. Hey, the water brother, shalom, shalom, yashala. Lord willing, I can try to get some precepts here in a moment, but I'm getting ready to cut it, man. I'm almost to my destination, but I just wanted to say that because I found it very offensive that, guys want to talk about the Apostle Paul like they got clout like the Apostle Paul. If you can not give the authority to the Apostle Paul, then why should we listen to these guys, man? Like they gained some kind of clout. What have they done, man? They haven't risked their life for the sheep. I'm talking hardcore risk your life. When it comes down to certain things, hey, they don't want to do, especially like the Apostle Paul, because right now we have the luxury of the internet. We have the luxury of the internet. So guys can, just like they call them keyboard gangsters, man. This internet will give you something you won't got in you, man. Because if you're a real man, you don't have to act like that. It really comes out in your actions, man. And Paul showed that he was he truly was sorrowful for what he's seen and what he did, man. All right. So the time we had now, you got to watch. Real quick, brother. This is Acts 8 and verse 12. It says, and if you want to put that Acts 9 and 15 too, it says, and they shall wander from sea to sea and from the north even to